Welcome to the Productive Life podcast hosted by me, Megan Mins. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to be more productive in their business and their personal life. Because as a business owner, your business and personal life are connected, and we can't talk about one without talking about the other. Each week, you'll learn about productivity, organization, personal development, self-care, business strategies, and more. And now, let's get started. Welcome to this episode of the Productive Life podcast. I am so excited for today's episode where we're going to be talking about how to create a 90-day business plan. So I want to just jump off with explaining why I'm so intentional and specific about focusing on 90 days at a time. And the reason we really want to focus on planning in 90-day increments is that life changes a lot and business changes a lot. And I think we've all seen evidence of that in 2020 in particular. But even on a normal year, I found that we often spend too much time planning out the next 12 months. We end up over planning, we procrastinate. And the reality is that right now you can't accurately know what you need to be working on in your business beyond 90 days from now. And another good way to think about this is that you probably are the type of person who likes to learn. You want to keep learning and growing and having new ideas and developing as a business owner, developing as a leader. And when we try to plan beyond 90 days, we actually end up doing more work than we need to because you haven't learned everything you're going to learn in the next 90 days, let alone the next 6 months or 12 months. So when you make plans beyond 90 days for that far out, you're punishing yourself for the learning you're about to do because you're just going to learn new things and have to do the work all over again to plan. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm very specific about doing 90-day planning. And we just don't want to procrastinate. We don't want to overplan and have to just keep reworking our plans for the year. And I also want you to be able to be a little bit more agile and flexible in your plans in your business. Ultimately, life and business just change way too quickly to plan beyond 90 days. And the next 90 days is the best time period for us to really accurately hone in on what we want to achieve, the goals we want, what projects we want to work on, and how we want to get there. So that's why we're going to be planning in 90-day chunks. So when it comes to 90-day planning, there are ultimately 3 parts of the 90-day planning process that I'm going to be walking you through today. So part number 1 is picking your one 90-day goal. Part number 2 is identifying the projects and processes that you want to complete in order to achieve that one goal. And part number 3 is mapping out the next 90 days. So I'm going to be walking you through all 3 parts of this so you'll have a complete understanding of how to plan your next 90 days. Before I jump right into part 1, I want to let you know that we've actually created a free 90-day business planning worksheet just for you. So if you're here live or you are listening to the podcast, go to meganmins.com/90-day planner and grab that 90-day business planning worksheet so that you can actually do that either while you're listening or later when you're actually sitting down to do your 90-day planning. Again, that's meganmins.com/90-day planner. Okay, so part number 1, let's jump straight in, is picking one 90-day goal. And I'm going to explain why we're doing one in just a second. But I really want you to hone in on the idea that a 90-day goal is what you want to achieve over the next 90 days, not how you want to do it. So often business owners are actually making their 90-day goals too closely attached to specific projects, which doesn't make sense in the long run and will add more work to your planning process overall. So instead of having a goal that is make $20,000 from launching my new course, we want to actually just have a goal to make $20,000. So the reason is because you might do the launch, which would be a project in this case. So you might do the course launch and not hit your 20K goal, but then what? You just failed at your goal, even though you did the project and you did the work. Suddenly you're at this strange crossroads where the 90 days may not be over and you suddenly feel like you don't have a goal anymore. Instead, if we break that apart and we have our revenue goal be our number 1 and our only business goal for the next 90 days, then we get to be really agile and flexible in the projects we choose in order to try to hit that goal. So if in this example, a business owner just had the goal of making $20,000 in the next quarter, let's say they do the course launch and the course launch does not do as well as they had hoped. It does not hit $20,000. They still have a couple weeks left in the 90-day period to maybe do a paid workshop, to like do another attempt at selling it, do a JV webinar, do a private webinar. There's a lot of other ways they can inject some revenue in a different strategy that maybe they didn't intend to do at the get-go. On the flip side, you could do your course launch and it could exceed your goals. And then you could actually spend the rest of the quarter either relaxing or supporting your new students or doing an operational project. So it's really beneficial to separate these. So I want your number one 90-day business goal to be the outcome you want from the next 90 days. And you're a business owner, I recommend this be a revenue number. If you have any specific issues with that, I understand a lot of my clients sometimes feel resistant to having it be a revenue goal. Maybe they want it to be a profit goal or a specific number of clients. Ultimately you get to decide. But in my experience of doing this and helping clients plan goals for over 6 years, I really do recommend it be a revenue goal because it's the most consistent way for you to measure what's working. Is your business growing? Are you on the trajectory you want to be on? And allow yourself the flexibility and the agility to change how you want to get there. This is how you start planning in a way that's agile, flexible. You don't have to keep reworking things, and you have that one focus for the quarter, and you get to play around with how you want to achieve it. And one thing that's been really helpful for this one 90-day goal for our business has been to set good, better, best goals for this instance. I really believe that your goal should be inspiring. It should really motivate you. It shouldn't be something that feels blah. And so this good, better, best goal setting system has been really helpful for our team because the good goal might be like our very practical, realistic baseline. We should hit this number if we follow through on our plans. And on the other end of the spectrum, our best goal can be that like inspiring, exciting, lights you up goal. And for those of you who are CEOs, who are visionaries, we need that light you up, exciting, blow your mind goal to keep us as visionaries exciting. So this is a really good way to set goals for your business where you as the CEO get to be really excited and your team can have a very realistic understanding of the minimum viable, the expectations, where we want to be, and everyone, sorry, I hit my microphone, everyone can be in alignment with where we're trying to go. So this has actually been really helpful. So the first step in creating and planning your next 90 days is choosing one 90-day goal for your business. I recommend this is a revenue goal, and we're not even worried right now at this phase in how we're going to get there. And if it helps you to break that up into good, better, best, a good revenue goal, a better revenue goal, and a best goal, then do that so that you can kind of find that middle ground. Often when people are setting goals, they also get really hung up on like how they're going to achieve it. Since we have broken the how away and we're doing good, better, best, it really allows you to be excited and inspired and worry about the how in part 2, which we'll jump to in just a second. And I just want to remind you before we move on to that achieving your goals does not determine your worth or value as a person or a business owner. I have a whole podcast episode that I've recorded about this concept of why achieving your goals doesn't actually matter. That is the Productive Life episode 30. So if this is something you feel you often get caught up in assessing your own personal worth and value based on hitting your goals or not, I think that would be a great episode for you to listen to. Again, that's episode 30. So part number 1, you've picked your number one, I keep saying number one, but you picked your one 90-day business goal. Hopefully it's a revenue goal. Part 2, now we're going to think about the how. Part 2 is identifying the projects and processes that you want to do in order to hit that goal. Because now we're super clear on what your outcome is for the next 90 days, what you're trying to achieve. So the next thing to do is to brainstorm, list out, get creative, map it all out on paper, and identify all the ideas you have for different ways that you could hit that goal. I consider these projects. So a project that you would work on over the next 90 days, it's a one-off project that you complete. It has a start and an end in order to help you hit your goal. So launching a new course, starting a new podcast, doing a weekly live show, anything new that you're doing, any start date and stop date is a project. Now, I also mentioned processes. So processes is something that not a lot of people talk about that I think is really, really important when it comes to the 90-day planning process, because processes are the recurring tasks that you need to complete multiple times throughout the 90-day time frame in order to help you hit that goal. And we often confuse this with project plans or projects. So an example of this would be, I want to post on Instagram 3 times a week, or I want to publish a podcast episode every week. These are recurring systems and processes that should already be baked into your business. And if they're not, and this is something new that you're incorporating in the next 90 days, we want to systemize it. We want to make it a process, and we want to bake it into your business and how you and your team spend your time. So posting on Instagram 3 times a week isn't necessarily a project. It's a process. Continuing to publish a weekly podcast episode when you already have a podcast up and running, that is a process. It is not a project. So hopefully this difference between projects and processes is starting to make sense. And I want you to see how they really work together to help you hit your goal, because so much of hitting your goal really can be recurring daily or weekly actions that we just need to be consistent with. And those could be separate from a one-off project that you're doing. So when we're doing part 2, I really want you to let yourself brainstorm. I like to do this by putting on headphones and good music and giving myself plenty of time to just think it all out. What are all my different ideas? What do I want to be doing? What are all the crazy ideas that have been bouncing around in my head? Even if you have an idea that maybe you're not going to do them right now, list it all out, get it all out of your head, see it all on paper. And I'm a really big believer that the work you're doing, the projects and processes that you are working on, should not be coming from a place of what you're supposed to do or what you should be doing. I want them to be things that feel fun and exciting and you're looking forward to it. And if you've put something on your piece of paper in your 90-day planning worksheet that's like launching a new course and you're not excited about that, I want you to question why you put it down and if it's really what you want to be doing next. Maybe it is, and there's some kind of resistance or fear that's making it seem scary, but hopefully all of the projects and processes you select for the next 90 days give you excitement. You can't wait to work on them. You're looking forward to it, even if you're not sure how it's going to turn out. Even if it might be challenging, it's something you still have positive energy around. So I really want you to brainstorm all the different ideas that come to your mind. And then I want you to look at all of your lists and I want you to start striking out the ones that you know aren't right for you for the next 90 days and circling and indicating the ones that you do want to work on over the next 90 days. If you are a solopreneur, and you can also do this if you have a team. I like to do my business this way, but if you have a bigger team, you may not need to limit yourself to this. But if you're a solopreneur or you have a smaller team, I would recommend that you only work on one project at a time in your business. It's going to make things so much simpler. You're going to be able to actually start and complete your projects much faster because you're not going to be so distracted. So I would really keep that in mind as you're selecting the projects and processes you want to work on. And when we move into part 3, you'll start to realize you might initially pick too many projects. We will work that problem out in part 3. But for now, do your best to really think through the project, how long you think it would take you to work on this, how time consuming, do you have all the support you need, how much fun does it feel, what's the return on investment of time and resources, will this bring in money? Remember, all of your projects should be helping you get closer to that revenue goal. So I want you to spend this time brainstorming, listing it out, and selecting the projects and processes that you want to work on for the next 90 days. Now we're going to move on to part 3 where we're mapping it out. This is something I think people often skip that I think is crucial because you know your 90-day goal, you know your 90-day projects and processes. Now we need to make sure it all fits on the calendar, make sure we intentionally create space for this on your calendar, and make any adjustments that we need to. So when you're looking at your 90 days, I want you to really look at your projects and decide which projects you're going to work on first. I would actually number them if you want to, or indicate your highest priority to lowest priority projects. And then I actually like to map it out. So you'll see in the 90-day planning worksheet that you have access to. Again, you can go to meganmins.com/90-day planner to download that for free. You'll see that there are 12 weeks. And what I like to do is I like to print things out, but you can do this digitally or electronically as well. But I like to actually hold space for that project and see how many weeks I think it's going to take. Of course, this can be a rough estimate, but I want you to just really be honest with yourself. What is a pace that feels good, that feels like you and your team can do this? Can you really get it done in 2 weeks? Or do you need 6 weeks or 8 weeks? Or maybe you need the whole 12 weeks. So this is where you can actually start to map out how much time you have for these projects, how much time you are estimating these projects will take. And then we will make adjustments because in part 2, if you had selected 5 projects you wanted to work on, but now when we're actually mapping them out, looking at the 12 weeks, we might see that you only have time for one big 6-week project and then maybe 2 smaller projects that are 2 to 4 weeks each. That's going to really help you go back and filter the most important projects. So this is where I want you to let yourself make mistakes, quote unquote. No, I don't really think there are mistakes. You're planning. Let it be a puzzle. Make adjustments at this stage. This is why we are doing this up front before you start your 90 days. So I really want you to map it out on a high level 12-week view. What projects can you be working on when? And don't forget to take into account if you have any vacations, any holidays, if you need a break in the middle of the next 90 days, be sure to take your personal schedule into account as well. So map it all out and make any adjustments you need to for what projects you're committed to working on for the next 90 days. So now we've got the projects figured out. Great. Now it's time to think about processes. So we've identified these recurring things that need to happen. Maybe you need to record a podcast every week. You can choose to record it live every week like I am, or record it on your own every week, or maybe you want to batch it every month. You get to choose how it's going to happen. But I want you to look at these processes, look at the part you're doing for these processes in particular, and decide, when are they happening? How often? What's the frequency? What's the time commitment? And I want you to go to your ideal weekly schedule. Hopefully you have a blocked out weekly schedule. And I want you to identify what days of the week and when and what times these processes are happening. We have to actually intentionally create the time for them so that we start doing them reliably and consistently. So if you don't have an ideal weekly schedule, that's okay. I'll probably be doing another podcast episode about that soon, but hopefully you can at least look at your week and go ahead and make some predeterminations on when you're going to do this and at what frequency. So we are not just deciding to do something and then never doing it. We're going to actually take the time to put it into your schedule. So now we've done that. We know our 90 days, what projects we're working on first and when. We know our processes and what days of the week or what frequency we're doing them. And now I want you to even look at your weekly schedule overall and say, does my weekly schedule give me enough time for the focused project work that I need to be doing to work on these projects? Does it give me time for those processes? Does it give me time for client work, marketing, running the business, and my personal life? If not, this is the perfect time to revisit your weekly block schedule and make those changes. We want to do this beforehand. This is the perfect time to do it. So take a minute and reevaluate what needs to change. During certain seasons of life and business, you may decide to work a little bit extra, but there's a very big difference between not having any clear boundaries and just staying up late and working all the time, and intentionally choosing that instead of stopping work at 5, you're going to stop work at 6:30. It may not be something you want to do forever, but it's very different to intentionally choose that for a specific period of time, like your next 90 days. So I really like to align my weekly schedule with what I'm working on for the next 90 days and giving myself enough space for what my priorities are, what my projects are, and what my processes are for the next 90-day cycle. And the last thing when it comes to mapping this out, if it's going to help you take this to the next level, is to break your projects down into 2-week action plans. This is one of the best things that you can do if you often find yourself feeling like you don't know where to start or you're a little overwhelmed and looking at a big project plan overwhelms you. That is totally okay. I've worked with a lot of clients who feel that way. And what I would encourage you to do is just focus on 2-week chunks at a time. So instead of worrying about the whole 6 weeks of the project, right up front, have some good indications of what milestones need to be happening so you're staying on track within 6 weeks, but really focus on the next 2 weeks and what work you need to be doing for the next 2 weeks. And you can start to really plan your time and plan your projects in these 2-week chunks. So that can be really helpful whether you're a solopreneur, you have a small team, or even if you have a larger team. These 2-week action plans or 2-week sprints, you might have heard of the term sprints before. These can be really helpful for you to map it out and be very intentional and focused with your work. So if that sounds helpful, in the free worksheet we have provided, you'll see we've broken down the 12 weeks into 6 2-week chunks. So that can also be a really helpful way to think about your workload and where you need to be at certain points within the next 90 days. And don't forget, you may need to play around with things at this stage. You may decide you can't do all the projects, or maybe you listed out a ton of processes, and when you're looking at your weekly schedule, it's just not all realistic. Or maybe you need to delegate more, or maybe you've realized you're ready to hire your first virtual assistant. These are the exact decisions, revelations, and moments of clarity you want to be having during a planning session. You should be having moments like this during a planning session. If you're not, I wonder if you're really even questioning the plans that you're making, because while you're planning, you really should be evaluating, questioning, and assessing what you're committing to doing and if it really makes sense for you and your business for where you're at right now. So this is the 3-part 90-day planning process for your business. So let's just recap that really quickly. So part number 1 is to pick your one revenue goal for the next 90 days. Part 2 is to identify the projects and processes that are going to help you get there. Part 3 is to then map it all out on a calendar and your weekly schedule so that you can make sure you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. And don't forget to download the free 90-day business planning worksheet to guide you through this process by going to meganminns.com/90-day planner. And now that you know how to create a 90-day business plan, I want you to know about a few different ways that me and my team can support you in taking all of this to the next level and stepping into the role of CEO in your online business. So the first way we can support you is by the 5-day free live masterclass series we are doing this year starting July 13th. It's called Solo to CEO. So if you're a solopreneur who's ready to take your online business seriously, who's ready to really step it up and step into that role of CEO, then I want you to go to meganminns.com/solo to CEO and register. It's a free masterclass series, 5 days of really helpful trainings where we're going to go really deep into how you can make this transition from solopreneur to CEO in your business. I would love to see you there. So again, go to meganminns.com/solo to CEO. The second way we can support you is in our brand new free Facebook community called Empowered Entrepreneurs. This is specifically for online business owners of all business sizes who are ready and love to talk about productivity and time management, goals and planning, systems and operations, mindset and wellness, hiring and leadership, and growing your online business. You can go to meganminns.com/community to join our free Facebook community right now. And the last way, and one of my favorite ways to support online business owners, is inside of our high-level group coaching program called Empowered CEO. This is for online service providers, coaches, and course creators who are ready to elevate into the role of CEO, grow their business without sacrificing their own work-life balance. This is such an incredible group. It's so much fun. We do weekly coaching calls together. You get access to the Empowered CEO curriculum, personalized feedback, accountability, guest trainings, and so much more. It's my favorite place. And a lot of our members say that our Wednesday weekly coaching call is their favorite day of the week. So much fun. So you can go to meganminns.com/CEO to learn more about Empowered CEO and book a free consultation call with our team to see if this is the right next step for you and your business. We would love to support you in growing your online business and becoming an empowered entrepreneur in any and all of these ways. So we can't wait to support you and help you grow your business. And I just want to let you know that if you're looking for other podcast episodes that are similar about goal setting, there are actually 3 other podcast episodes I'd love to recommend to you. So you can listen to the Productive Life episode 13, where we talk all about 9 goal setting mistakes. You can listen to episode 16, where we talk about how to achieve your goals. And episode 30, which I mentioned earlier, is all about how achieving your goals doesn't actually matter. Thank you again so much for listening. If you were here live while I was recording this, thank you so much for being here. It would mean so much to me if you would leave a 5-star rating on iTunes or support this wherever you're listening or watching by reacting with emojis, liking it, leaving a comment, and letting us know what you thought. I would love to continue making episodes that are helpful for you. So if you ever have a specific question or request, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to send us a DM on Instagram at Megan_Minns. Let us know what you would love to hear us talk about. Or if you're in our free Facebook group, let us know there too. So thank you again for listening. I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Productive Life podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you would share your biggest takeaway on your Instagram stories or wherever you hang out. This helps me understand what you find the most helpful so that I can make more episodes and resources like this. If this podcast has helped you at all, please take just 1 minute to leave a review on iTunes so that we can help spread the word about the Productive Life podcast with others who may enjoy it. And last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest episodes sent to you directly. To learn how to work with me one-on-one or get instant access to freebies, trainings, templates, workshops, and more, be sure to go to meganmins.com right now. I'll see you in the next episode.